Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Danielle Daily Show. I'm your host, Danielle Watson. Thank you so much for joining me here. I had a little bit of a headache yesterday during showtime, and I noticed the same thing starting to happen today. And I went out for a walk, and I tried to get rid of this little headache thing that's going on, and I don't know what it is. It might be that the weather is changing, or it could be that things are really blooming early here in Northern Virginia. I'm not sure what it is. So if I sound a little bit down, I'm okay, but my head's just hurting a little bit, and I haven't figured out what's causing it or how to relieve it yet. But I thank you for joining me anyways. So today we are talking about when is the best time to give our opinion. And I think this is a really great topic because I think it comes up for a lot of us. And if you have any headache remedies, I am welcoming your thoughts and your observations on how you guys get rid of headaches. One of the things I like to use is peppermint oil. I put a little bit on the two sides of the back of my neck and a little bit on each side of my forehead here, and it seems to help. I haven't tried that out yet. I tried having a little bit of caffeine, some green tea just before I started the show, but that hasn't done it yet. So I will try the peppermint after I get off the broadcast, and maybe you will have something that will help me with this little bit of a headache. So this idea of when is the best time to give our opinion. You know, this came up for me as part of this series that I've been doing on letting go. Remember, we talked on Friday about letting go, being like Elsa from Frozen and letting go. And then yesterday we talked about letting go from the standpoint of love. You know, when you've loved somebody, is it okay to let go and move forward? And what's the difference between moving forward and moving on? Today we're talking about letting go in a little bit of from a different angle. So we're looking at, you know, letting go of the need to be so helpful. I remember years ago there was a Jim Carrey movie. I can't remember which one it was, and if you remember which one it was, I'd love it if you'd let me know. But where he called somebody Helpy Helperton, and that has stuck with me for probably at least 20 years. This idea of being a Helpy Helperton, always wanting to be helpful, always wanting to guide other people and help other people. And you know, sometimes being a Helpy Helperton isn't really welcome. And so I wanted to talk about the idea of letting things go, letting it go from this angle of just letting people be who they are and just letting it go that maybe they're engaged in behaviors that aren't good for them. Maybe they have things that you feel like you need to point out to them. Maybe they are thinking things that really aren't helpful, but the truth is they haven't asked what you think. And I think that is such a key thing to notice that really helps us get along better in our relationships. I do have today's note to self for you guys, but before I share it, I wanted to share a quote with you that I got from a former mentor of mine, probably a good 5 years ago, and it has stayed with me ever since, and it has helped me so much in my life and so much in my career because it reminds me not to be Helpy Helperton. So my mentor said, people can rarely hear information they have not sought for themselves. And when she said those words, they instantly stuck in my brain. I've remembered them every day of my life since then. And let me repeat it again in case that's a piece of wisdom that you want to write down. She said, people can rarely hear information they have not sought for themselves. So I know that all of us are wise, all of us have this outside perspective, and each of us has a lot of motivation to be helpful to other people, to benefit other people, to be somebody who uplifts others, to be somebody who's there for other people. We want to have good relationships, and one of the ways that we try to build those relationships is by offering our help. Somebody just showed up. I see thumbs going, yay, Julio's here, awesome. So we're talking about another angle of letting go. And I was just saying that one of my mentors years ago gave me a wonderful piece of advice. It wasn't just given to me, it was just given to everyone who was there mentoring with her. And she said, people can rarely hear information they have not sought for themselves. And that has sunk into the very fiber of my being. And I think about it before I open my mouth to give my opinion, because the wisdom in that really, really helps us with our relationships with other people. You know, sometimes we see things that people are doing, behaviors, actions, thoughts that we know are not helpful to them, and we want to point it out. But when I want to point it out that somebody's doing something, I remember that piece of wisdom. I remember that people can rarely hear information they have not sought for themselves. And I just keep it to myself until there is an opening where somebody has asked for my opinion. And I believe that has made all of the relationships in my life better. Julio says, so true. It is. It's so true. I had an experience recently, actually personally, where somebody who cared about me came to me and was enumerating all the ways that I was going wrong with something, all the ways I was doing something wrong, and I needed to do it better. And if I would only listen and do it differently, the way that he was suggesting next time, that everything would go better for me. And I just wasn't hearing it at all. I didn't want anything to do with it, and it didn't mean that what he was saying wasn't necessarily helpful. It's just I hadn't asked him. I hadn't asked for what he thought about that, and that insisting on sharing that information with me made me just completely closed off to it. So I just wanted to share that because I think there are so many things that we can contribute to others, but we have to respect them by waiting for them to ask our opinion. And I know that's not easy when we see somebody doing something that we feel is destructive or is hurting them, or at the very least isn't benefiting them. We want to be Helpy Helperton, right? I wonder, Julio, if you can remember what Jim Carrey movie it was where he called somebody Helpy Helperton. That has stuck with me for a good 20 years. I remember that was just so funny. I've always told myself, don't be Helpy Helperton. Don't be overly helpful. We want to be Helpy Helperton, right? We're all helpers. We all want to help other people and help them, get whatever it is they want. And when they haven't asked for our help, that's when we need to remember to hold back. Julio's probably Googling that for me. So that was the wisdom that I wanted to offer today, to wait to give your opinion until it's been asked for, because people can rarely hear information they haven't sought for themselves. And that doesn't mean that what we have to offer isn't valuable, that it wouldn't be helpful. But I know just in my own very recent experience, I had that feeling of having somebody tell me something that I wasn't looking for that information. That wasn't something I was interested in hearing. And by that information being forced on me, it made me completely closed off to the message, even though I knew that the message was well-intended and was meant to benefit me. Because I wasn't looking for that information, because I wasn't asking and I hadn't given permission, and I didn't feel like that I was being respected because I hadn't given my permission for those observations to be made. It felt bad. It felt yucky, and I missed out possibly on the benefit of what that was. And that person missed out on feeling good for having offered me an observation simply because the permission to make the observation hadn't been given. So let me give you guys today's note to self. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I have a little bit of a headache today. The same thing happened yesterday, fine all morning, and then in the afternoon, just a little headache coming on. So I'm going to keep today's show brief. I will give you the note to self, and then you guys can get on with whatever you got going in your day. I know I'm planning to go to yoga class later. That's why I have my yoga outfit on. And hopefully, if my headache's not gone by then, all that, going upside down and side to side and twisting round and round will be just the cure I need. It looks like Nadia's here. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so here's today's note to self if you would like to write it down. It was hard coming up with today's note because I feel like the piece of wisdom that I offered you earlier that my mentor had offered was the best and most succinct way to put this concept. but I went ahead and wrote one anyways because, you know, it's my habit to give you guys a note to self every day. So here it is if you want to write it down. If you like her wisdom better, the idea that people can rarely hear information they haven't sought for themselves, feel free to write that down as your note to self, but I didn't feel okay writing that down as a note to self because it was somebody else's idea and somebody else's words. So here's my note to self that I wrote. It says, "Dear self, it is wisest to keep your observations to yourself until asked for your opinion." And trust me, I know how difficult this is. I am a Helpy Helperton at heart. I like to be helpful. If I see somebody doing something that's not benefiting them or is detrimental to them, I really want to offer my opinion. But I have learned through that wonderful piece of wisdom that my mentor offered me that is not going to help anyone. And I had the first-hand experience recently of having somebody try to give me information that I had not sought for myself, and recognizing that, you know, she is absolutely right. I was not open to hearing that information because it wasn't something that I was seeking. It wasn't something I was looking for. Let me read you the note to self one more time. It says, "Dear self, it is wisest to keep your observations to yourself until asked for your opinion." And then I like to write, "Love me." So I took the spirit of what she said, I changed it slightly, but I will never forget her words. I will forget that note to self, but I will not forget my former mentor's words, that people can rarely hear information they have not sought for themselves. It reverberates in every cell of my being. It reminds me every time I want to offer help to someone to wait until they've asked for my opinion, or wait until they've asked for my help. And sometimes the way people ask isn't so direct as, "Hey, what do you think?" or "What's your opinion?" But they will express to you that they're seeking information, that they're seeking an outside perspective, that they're lost and wondering what to do. But if someone is just going ahead with doing something or being a certain way and they're fine with it, that's not the time to give our opinion. Julio says, "It's Ace Ventura." Okay, so yes, so the original Ace Ventura movie. Thank you for Googling that for me. I appreciate you. Yes, that was the movie where Jim Carrey called somebody Helpy Helperton, and that was just another one of those things that lodged in my brain because I very much identified with Helpy Helperton and wanting to just be so helpful all the time. So that was today's show. I'll read the note to self one more time. I hope you guys have had a great day already. Remember, I'm looking for headache remedies, so if you have any, whether you're watching the broadcast live or you're watching after the recording, let me know, because this little headache, I'm not really sure what's causing it. It could be the change in weather. It could be that spring is here early, but I was fine until just a little bit ago, and it just started to come on, and the same thing happened yesterday. So I'm looking for ways to get rid of it. I'm going to try some peppermint essential oil after the broadcast. I've already tried a little caffeine, but that hasn't kicked in yet. So if you have alternatives besides, Tylenol and ibuprofen, I'll take those if I have to. Let me know. So Julio says, Hempenol. Oh, I've not heard of that. Okay, I'll have to Google that as soon as I get off. So here is that note to self one more time. It says, "Dear self, it is wisest to keep your observations to yourself until asked for your opinion." So that was today's note. Thank you for that recommendation of Hempenol, Julio. I have not heard of that. I will Google it. I'm so glad you put that in the comments because I would not remember that word because I haven't heard it before, but I'll be able to go and find it in the comments and Google it. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I will be back tomorrow. I think I have one more on this theme of letting go that I want to cover tomorrow. But if there's anything that is going on in your life, in the lives of people that you care about, that you want me to cover, you want me to give a perspective on, maybe a little bit of life wisdom on, let me know. This is what I love to do. I love to be Helpy Helperton, but only if you've asked. So if there's something you want me to cover, let me know. You can leave me a comment. You can send me a private message. You can email me if you're on the mailing list. And until tomorrow, this has been the Danielle Daily Show with your host, Danielle Watson. I'll see you again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. Mwah! I love you guys. See you then. Bye.